Summers for you. I know. We are like okay. So what go for it. It starts. But both the parents are. What do you think? Hi.
He looks in that.
Yeah, that's something like that.
Now you might see. बाकी सब अच्छी किताबें नोट करना
अरे नहीं अलग एक बात बताऊँ जिंदगी में अभी बोलने वाला हूँ कभी किताब थोड़ी पहले भी जब मैं लेके आया हूँ अलग अलग आपके लिए तो आप ऐसे कैसे कर सकते भैया शाइन शाइन लाइक I have a lot of regard. No, but ये और ये हमारा ये हमने एक ज्वेलरी बॉक्स 5 members came तो और इसकी मैग्नेटिक लिड है और इसके अंदर 2 बोन चाइना मग्स हैं ये देखिए इसके अंदर बुकलेट है और इसके अंदर अगर चाय पिएंगे उसके बाद दे आर ऑल पैडेड फॉर प्रोटेक्शन फॉर ज्वेलरी सारा पैड किया हुआ है ये ज्वेलरी के लिए अच्छा ये ऐसा नहीं दिया जाएगा आपको एक ट्रैवल बैग मिल जाएगा ये हमने किट बनाई This is for travel. Look at this. Travel bag. It's a lightweight. ये आप किताब डालो इसको अब आपका डेट सर को दो आपकी वाइफ के नाम क्या नाम सोनाली lots of love from ज्वेलरी बॉक्स आप अब चाय कॉफ़ी इसमें पीना आप
पक्का तो आपने बिल्कुल आप चाहते हैं
इसमें लेना है हमने चाय कॉफी। मुझे कार्ड एक बारी भाई दिस वन फर्स्ट
Next time definitely will tell.
When does he go? नहीं it's a 3-day leadership बेटा आ जाओ before I apologize I'm wearing color glasses
No, I didn't know. So happy to hear that. That's wonderful. She was at a conference last year as the MC and
We have a person from Chopra and my boss is Anita Sridharan.
I addressed last year about 1,000 people so she was there
Oh, right, okay.
yeah
I was the MC there.
Of course, Bhutani.
कुछ ही क्षणों में हम ये कार्यक्रम प्रारंभ करेंगे मेरा
My book, but you're not allowing the book to brought upstairs. But I'm really inspired by your book.
I'm honored, sir. I'm honored. Absolutely.
I would be there. You're not allowing to.
Sir, मैं पढ़ना चलांगा काम नहीं
If I did this, you're not allowed to make my time.
No, but I'll come down. I'll take it. Sir, how are you?
You know, Bhaiya wanted to take you to Singapore.
I know.
Just wanted to drop you and take you away from us.
Anytime. This guy, amazing. Good to see you, man. What a pleasure to see you. Yesterday we were talking. In fact, the first time we sat down, and he spoke so highly of you.
That's his kindness. That's what I want
That's,
to
of course, it
say.
is.
He's my brother. So,
Yesterday about wife and
सबसे पहले आप सबको महाशिवरात्रि की हार्दिक शुभकामनाएं। भगवान भोलेनाथ का आशीर्वाद आप सबके ऊपर हमेशा बना रहे। आज हमारा परम सौभाग्य कि विश्व विख्यात मोटिवेशन गुरु और सेल्फ हेल्प के एक्सपर्ट और सबसे अधिक पुस्तकों को लिखने के लेखक हमारे मध्य में हैं आदरणीय श्री खेड़ा जी। मैं कर्तव्य ध्वनि से उनका स्वागत करता हूं, अभिनंदन करता हूं। आज के समारोह के केंद्र बिंदु डॉक्टर राकेश चोपड़ा जी, वैसे पेशे से वो एक डॉक्टर हैं, चिकित्सक हैं, पर देखिए ये उनकी अलग प्रतिभा का परिचय आपको मिलेगा। सेलो फॉर बिहार ये औपन्यासिक कृति है उनकी, मैं उनका भी हार्दिक स्वागत करता हूँ। और अभी जैसे बताया दिल्ली विश्वविद्यालय की डॉक्टर अमृता भल्ला जी, वो भी हमारे मध्य में है। आज के समारोह का संचालन सूत्रधार वही करने वाली है। तो प्रभात प्रकाशन और ऑक्सफोर्ड बुक स्टोर की ओर से आप सबका हृदय से स्वागत है, अभिनंदन है। आज छुट्टी के दिन, शिवरात्रि के दिन लगभग छुट्टी का माहौल है। आप इतनी बड़ी संख्या में आए हमारा उत्साहवर्धन करने के लिए, मैं हृदय से आप सबका हार्दिक स्वागत करता हूँ। प्रभात प्रकाशन का सदैव यह प्रयास रहता है कि वो नए लेखकों को अवसर दे। डॉक्टर राकेश चोपड़ा की ये पहली कृति है, हमें सौभाग्य मिला उनकी पुस्तक का प्रकाशन करने का। मैं हृदय से एक बार पुनः उनका स्वागत आदरणीय श्री खेड़ा जी को पुस्तक संच देकर और पुष्प देकर उनका स्वागत करें। पुस्तकों के प्रति लोगों का अनुराग हो, पुस्तकों के प्रति अभिरुचि उत्पन्न हो, इसलिए ये पुस्तक संच देने का हमने एक नया अभियान शुरू किया है। समारोह के केंद्र बिंदु आदरणीय डॉक्टर राकेश चोपड़ा जी का हार्दिक स्वागत है। कृतज्ञता के पुष्पों और पुष्पों के साथ तो इस कार्यक्रम को विधिवत संचालन करने के लिए, इसको आगे बढ़ाने के लिए मैं अमृता भल्ला जी से आग्रह करता हूं, कृपया काम को आगे बढ़ाएं।
A very warm welcome to all. Thank you for coming here to celebrate Rakesh Chopra's A Cello for Bihar. Cello for Bihar, a musical journey. I'm a professor in literature and English, and I have to use the term Bildungsroman. Is it a novel of the growth of a boy born in Bihar, Jowar, travels the 7 seas, fights against all odds, launches on a musical journey, which is why the title Cello. His mother senses his predilection towards music, his face changes, his eyes light up, and when he hears the rural musicians who only come and play on Holi and Diwali, no concept of All India Radio, Delhi Doordarshan, WhatsApp, computer, just rural musicians coming with their handcrafted musical instruments. The way this little boy eyes light up, and Shakespeare, of course. Rakesh said, मैं ये line use करूँगा. I said, नहीं, literature के professor मैं हूँ. Shakespeare, music that crosses all boundaries and barriers. I use a lot of Hindi in my English lectures, and I have to say, सुर बने तेरा, मेरा तुम्हारा, तो सुर बने हमारा. Just the melange of music, the coming together. Never mind Rudyard Kipling, East and West, and never the twain shall meet. The fluidity of music, whether it is Indian classical, whether it is Western classical. So the beautiful nuances that Rakesh Chopra, not because he's my brother, but as an author, is able to pick up. And may I read a little bit from the musical journey, the list of musical instruments. When he responds to Ek Tara, Surbahar, Punji, Pungi, Bansuri, tabla and harmonium. Handmade music instruments as a child in a village in Bihar. The first time he goes outside the village to attend a wedding. Barat has come, a stage is made, and his response to seeing a sitar, a guitar, a sarangi, a drum kit, 2-3 types of dholak, and a double frosted mother of pearl inlay harmonium. Just the excitement of a child, and I'm reading out as he says, it was magical. He felt his being swell inside him and every cell in his body tingle and turn into jelly, and he burst out in unrelenting tears. The author is just able to capture the excitement that flows. My husband is sitting right here. We drive out to my parents in Chandigarh, singing songs all the way, singing songs all the way back. And everybody says, you managed to do 5 hours going, 5 hours coming? Yes, because we were singing away. So I could just relate to cello in Bihar. When he first sees a cello, and not again because he's my brother, but I have to admire the depth of his research in music instruments and the depth of research in the history of music. The very first time that came village boy from Bihar hears Old Lang Syne, What Will Be Will Be, a 1936 film, Doris Day, and I was sitting at the dining table in Chandigarh and reading it out aloud, and before I could finish, my mother said, 1936 Doris Day. She's 78 years old, and I just said, Mama, may I use this in my talk? Music crosses all ages, music crosses all boundaries, music across the 7 seas, and the novel ends with, and as I said, Dr. Chopra, thank you for the music. I won't sing ABBA style, thank you for the music. But it ends with first, just one last thing. When he sees the cello, his response, in the corner stood an enormous instrument standing on the single metal rod. It was the most beautiful object Khem had seen. It was a cello. It was his passion that took him from strength to strength. And the novel ends with, he was the son India was proud of. He heard nothing but the music. So thank you, Dr. Chopra. Thank you for the music.
Thank you very much. I wonder if it'd be better if I stood up and spoke. So thank you for a very eloquent introduction. I don't think I can match that in any case. So first of all, a very good evening and a very warm welcome to all of you. And I should also be using English. So आप सबका नमन करता हूँ, आपका वंदन करता हूँ, आपका अभिनंदन करता हूँ. I'm exceptionally grateful for each and every one of you to be here today and take the time out to join me for this event and join us for this event. No man is an island, and the same holds true for me. So in the journey of every human being's life, there are lots of helping hands and there are innumerable blessings. So therefore I have many people to thank to be here at this point. Many of them are in this room, some are far away and some are even in heaven. So let me start my thanks before I talk a little bit about the book. So I'll first of all start with Prabhat Prakashan and Prabhat ji, who are our publishers, and Pushti is with us, and give them a big hand. They have been nothing but gracious, accommodating. He's always been a true gentleman to work with him and his wonderful set of people who are always so polite and so efficient. It's been a great pleasure. And you will perhaps be surprised to know that Prabhat Prakashan mostly or almost virtually totally publishes works of non-fiction. So for publishing this work of fiction, I thank you, Prabhat ji. That's very kind of you, and thank you, Mozart. They publish authors such as Swami Vivekananda. So just to be, associated in some remote way with 6 degrees of separation with Swami Vivekananda is good enough for me. Let me move on to Shri Shiv Khera ji. Now, here's a man who needs no introduction. You all know him as a celebrated author, a motivator, and a great speaker. And you will be surprised to know perhaps that he was due to be in Singapore just 2 days ago on his global tour, launching his latest book, You Can Achieve More, which I would strongly recommend. And he had fitted us in just to come and do this for me today. So thank you very much, Shivji. That's extremely kind of you. Now, when I was about 14 years old, this gentleman presented me with a book called As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. I don't know if you remember that.
You are 4 years old.
Just 10 years here and there.
I know, because my trousers were messed up. So I remember very well.
So this book had a very profound effect on me, and I think it has been very important for my life, though I'm still getting the full measure of it. I must also tell you something personal about him, that a couple of years ago when my dear father passed away, when I landed in Delhi, not only was his car waiting for me, but he also had some money waiting for me, thinking, ये बेचारा इस टाइम में बैंक कहाँ जाएगा, इसको पैसे की ज़रूरत होगी. So that's the kind of person that he is. Of course, I must tell you a little bit about him. He's very fond of Mandrake and Phantom comics. I don't know if they still publish them. And he's also a very big foodie. I must also tell you that occasionally he's known to bathe small dogs in the bathtubs at Oberoi. I don't know if you remember that, Michelle. So, thank you very much, Shivji, for doing this today. Let me mention this amazing lady who's sitting on my right. She is the most positive, wonderful person that I know, full of energy and full of love. And who introduced me to Sadat Hassan Manto, you might remember, and properly to Amrita Pritam Singh and to Shiv Kumar Batalvi. So, Thank you very much, Amrita, for doing this. It's always been a joy to see her or meet her. What I must tell you though is, in case you ever deal with her, if she tells you that she's in a white car, let me assure you, it's a silver car. And if she says she's in an electric blue colored car, look for a green one. I'd also like to thank a couple of other people. I'd like to thank my wife, Neera, who is here. We're going to be married for 30 years this year. And she has supported me. And Neera, nobody knows, but I know how hard you work on a daily basis. Let me move on to our son Rohan. Now, if Rohan, I feel, is a reincarnation of my lovely English teacher sitting back there, Mrs. Lopez, who always used to write in red ink on my papers SC, which stood for sentence construction. Unfortunately, you reincarnated as my son. And he did the same for me, and if it hadn't been for his instigation, I think there would be no second. I would love to thank my teachers who are here. I think my primary care teacher, Mrs. Iqbal Singh, is here. My English teacher, Mrs. Lopez, is here. So thank you so much for taking the time to come here today. I'll just take a sip of water before I continue. Right, moving swiftly on to the book. So basically a cello, it's a story, it's a biography. It's a biography of a child born in the deep heart of rural Bihar into a very poor farming community. He didn't have a chance in hell of making something special out of his life. He was destined to, grow up, till the land and die as a poor farmer. But that was not to be. So basically, I won't demystify the book. It charters the course of his extraordinary life, which takes him through various twists of destiny, through love, heartbreak, countries, and of course on his crazy musical journey. This book it's a homage to three things. The first thing, as Amrita has expounded so much in detail, is music. Music is certainly the main garment that this book wears. A favorite kind of music which takes you to a place, takes you to a person, takes you to a time, takes you to a journey. But music is an intangible and a magical thing for me. So from my part of me, it was a tribute to music. Amrita ji mentioned William Shakespeare. She rather quoted William Shakespeare from Twelfth Night, and if music be the food of love, play on. I think this falls perhaps short, so I think we have to return back to our mother tongue to do this. So I'll explain it in a slightly different way. So Tan Rubab Man Kingri. Rubab is an Arabic string instrument. Tan Rubab Man Kingri Rage. And Kingri is like, you have the mizrab. Mizrab is a plectrum which you pluck the strings of a sitar with. So Tan Rubab Man Kingri Rage Bhahi Sabtar. Ye Rom Rom Sur Det hai to Bajat Naam Tihar. So we are an embodiment of music. Actually, we don't even know how much. So that is an important and essential theme of this. The second thing which is a homage to is motherhood. The hand that rocks the cradle rules the world, and that is so true. I think the person who holds you within their womb, जो आपको 9 महीने महफूज रखती है, आप हमेशा उसका अंश बन के रहते हो, और उसका एक अंश हमेशा आपके साथ चलता है. So this is a tribute to motherhood also. And finally, it's a tribute to childhood adversity. बचपन की मुफलिसी, बचपन का अफलास. ये मुफलिसी का मतलब not necessarily कि आपको सिर्फ गरीबी होती है. मुफलिसी कई किस्म की होती है, कई किस्म के अभाव, कई किस्म के कष्ट आते हैं. So there is a phrase in Latin which says per ardua ad astra, which means through adversity to the stars. So this book is dedicated to every child who is passing through adversity or who has passed and made something of their own life, to every person who is like that. and who has achieved something through that. So, and I dedicated this book to thousands and hundreds and millions of children in this world who are living in dire conditions. So I hope that you will give this book a chance and flow along with it, read between the lines and read between the paragraphs, and enjoy it. I'd love to have your feedback. I shall now hand you back to Amrita to continue the proceedings. Thank you for listening. Thank you.
To the introduction by Mr. Chopra.
थोड़ा नीचे हो जाएंगे.
The book and Rakesh.
Check, all right. Oops. Folks, someone said, well, if you want to leave a legacy in life, either do something worth writing or write something worth doing. Are you with me? And I think this gentleman, he's done, I don't know if most people are able to do even one, but he's done both.
Yes, he's done both.
He has done both. And I'll share you, being such a modest person, he's been talking about wonderful things. And he's talked about inspiration, but most people here don't know his own life, the way he's gone through up and down and up and down and up and down. His own life has been a tremendous inspiration. I know him well enough. He thought he was 14, didn't realize he was actually 4. Because when I got married, the guy was in my lap. I find it hard to call him my cousin. He's my nephew, I call him. So it's very difficult when somebody says, who's there? I said, my nephew. I don't understand, how can a brother be like that? But anyway, but amazing, the roller coaster ride he's gone through. He came here, back to India, tried to get settled. He couldn't live in the corrupt system. So he packed up his bag again, started from ground zero again. Came here, ground zero, left ground zero, came back. That by itself, in my opinion, folks, it's a great inspiration. And yesterday, he shared with me what the book is all about. And I said, this book really should not belong in the fiction section. It really belongs in self-help. Really, it is a self-help book. And this is what can change a person's life. So, in my opinion, it's really a transformational book. It is not just a story of a kid who went through life and whatever he explained to me yesterday, how he went through the 7 continents and 6 continents and came back and eventually got knighthood in UK and eventually got married to the lady
somewhere he met for a one night somewhere. But most important thing is, it was a tremendous comeback. I personally feel the reason I'm here today, I get a lot of calls. The reason I'm here today for the book, a relative of mine, but not only he's a great professional as a medical doctor, but most important thing is, I feel he's a very ethical, clean, honest person with great integrity, folks. And that is what brings me here. Otherwise, I really wouldn't want to be here otherwise. And to me, more than anything else, in fact, I wrote a little note, just having professional qualifications does not make a professional.
That's true. Yeah, absolutely.
So it takes a lot more. It's a lot more to be a good professional. And that is what has always attracted me to him right from day one, since he was born, I was born, I guess. So I guess there are some connections you don't connect. You are connected before you come here. And this is what I feel that my connection has been with him all through, always. And what a delight, I must acknowledge these two people who are so modest also and humble. And I met them 6-7 years ago. So when Rakesh was asking, who do I publish? I said, let me give you a name. And right then and there, they connected, and I'm so glad that they did. My only request to you is, sir, the strength of the book is so good. I personally feel this book does not belong to India only. It should become a global book. So really, it is such a powerful book. It should go global, and we need to find a way how to get it global. And I think that's would be something very crucial for me. So I'm grateful to you people, and ma'am, Dr. Amrita Singh, look, my English is not the greatest, and my wife is from the convent, so even while coming here she said a word. I said, what does that mean? She said, go look for a dictionary. I said, why do you use such words? The other day she said, on his behest. I said, what is the meaning of behest? So look, my English is a little on the lower side, but anyway. But Rakesh, I really feel that the teachers that you invited here, I think that has been the greatest treat that you have done. So really, what he has achieved today, the credit goes to all of you right there. And when I launched my third book many years ago, I did invite Mr. Ved Vyas, who was the principal, who was teaching Hindi at that time. Mr. M.N. Kapoor used to be the principal. So while I was studying in modern school, I was the backbencher troubling the front benchers. So, and by the way, in my 8th grade, out of 6 or 7 subjects, I failed in all except one. So my principal called me and said, Shiv, you're paying too much attention on one subject. And folks, out of 28 kids, I was number 27 because the 28th was absent. No kidding. And my principle is to call my parents and tell them, get this kid out of the school. He's one kid who's going to bring the average of the school. I was bringing the average down. But you see, being the troublemaker that I was, well, I used to get caught. And I used to get into trouble. So I did something really nasty at that time. And Mr. Vedas, who used to teach us Hindi, gave me one tight slap. So when I got a slap, and used to hit hard. So when I was launching the book, I said, sir, I don't know if you remember, but I do remember, that you gave me one tight slap. And he had said, Shiv has done so well, he's come here so high, he's achieved this height. I said, one slap could do that, why didn't you give me two? I would have gone much faster. Well, anyway, bottom line really comes down is, it's a great occasion. It is a great occasion, and all I can say is, the family proud, you have made the country proud because of your ethical practices. All I can say is, just continue, carry on, and take it forward. You know what? Because the tribe of people like you is very small. We need more people like you, and that's about it. And God bless you, sir. Thank you very much.
I'm still trying to figure out how a medical doctor is a writer and interested in literature and music. So Rakesh, would you like to say something about that? Medical doctor, music?
I think they're not mutually exclusive. Music is an ocean. I think to talk about music, I could take a long time. And when I was a child, there was a wonderful saying, let me stand up, which says that silence like a poultice comes to heal the blows of sound. And I found that was very profound, and that's right. But times have moved on, and you will be amazed if I try to tell you there's a book by Don Campbell called Music, the Physician of the Future. And what we know today, the unbelievable psychological, mental, neural effects of music are so profound that music has such immense powers. We're only at the beginning of this, and times to come, music will be the physician of the future, and I think it's the most common entity but the most untapped resource. So that's the reason, that's what music is to me. And of course, I mean, you can be in any profession and you can still have affinity for anything else. So therefore, I hope that answers your question, that, you know, there is no reason why the twain shall not meet. Okay.
So could we have it open to the audience? Any questions that Rakesh is more than willing to answer? And not sing a song.
Actually, Rakesh, just to add to what you said, there's a lot of research which is taking place on vibrations. And what has been discovered in the last 20, 30 odd years, molecules, the medicinal molecules which we, paracetamol or whatever it is, each has a certain wavelength, certain vibration. I'm an engineer, so I'm, you're a medical doctor, I'm an engineer. Now they have all the vibration. What they started doing was, they started giving these wavelengths to people. They didn't need to give medicines. They just needed to give these wavelengths to people. So you would be knowing about this much more than I do, And my God, they cured people. So really speaking, I think all the pharmaceutical companies are going to be out of business very soon if they carry on like this.
I can certainly respond to that, but it'll there is, this helps people get out of coma. We know it can help grow larger tomatoes. So there is an immense field of research. The body of evidence about music is phenomenal. it's being used to improve neuroplasticity of children, of autistic children, of children with learning disabilities, of people who have dementia. So I can go on and on, but I think it's suffice to say that it's just something which is phenomenal and special, at least to me. I would like to say
Content of this book, and I'm really curious to read it. And one thing which comes to your mind is this musical journey, the research which you've done. How did it land in Bihar?
Roots go back to Bihar. There's one Bihari here and a few in the audience. My mother belonged to Bihar. My Nanaji lived in Bihar and all his children grew up there until they were wed. So I think there is something there. The other thing was, as you understand, it's a journey from one extreme to another. Journey from abject poverty. And you know, Bihar can be as rural and as untamed, as lawless and as poor as it can be. So I thought it was a good place to choose. I have my own experiences traveling in Bihar and I can tell you they were frightening. So I think that's one of the reasons to pick Bihar. Perhaps there was some subliminal factor that I was, you know, my ancestors belonged to Bihar.
Yes. And that's what originality is all about, sir.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Folks, I just like to share one more thing, that I've learned one thing, that reading a good book once is not good enough. Folks, would you agree with me?
Yes.
Okay. I repeat that. Reading a good book once is not good enough. And I've had many times people say to me, oh, 2-3 people are there, and they say, well, Mr. Kelly, just give me one book and we'll share it. Oh, I said, they're not serious readers. And many times they come to me and they say, I got a great book, I can lend it to you. And my answer is, either give it to me, gift it to me, sell it to me, don't lend it to me. Because I won't give it back to you. You know why? Because when I read a book, I sit with a pencil and a marker and I underline and I make notation on the sides. And as I said, reading a good book once is not good enough. And maybe a year down the line or 6 months down the line, if I'm reading a book, you think I have time to read the entire book? Answer is no. I just go through those things. So therefore, I strongly recommend. I can afford to lose a lot of things, and I've lost many things, but really I cannot afford to lose my book. We shifted from one location to another, and my house, and eventually I took a rough count, estimated I have close to 250,000 books. I never realized I accumulated that many books in my life. And I just want to make one very important point here. I'm not promoting my book here now at this time. See, the book, You Can Achieve More, I mentioned about a survey it was done, which said about 85% of millionaires and billionaires today are first generation. I repeat, 85% of millionaires and billionaires today are first generation. Only 15% are inheritance. And a question was asked to these people, what is the habit, one habit that you would recommend a person to inculcate to rise up in life? And you know what they said? They said, we read books. And Raji, they said, and they asked, how many books do you read? Guess what the answer was? On an average, a millionaire, first generation millionaire and billionaire, they read
between 50 to 60 books a year, which means one book a week. And then the next question was, what kind of books do you read? They said, we read self-help books. And I would classify your book as a self-help book. It's inspirational. We read self-help books. And the reason they gave, why self-help? And the answer was, all it takes is one idea from here is worth $1 million. That means there is a tremendous connection between learning and earning. Are you with me?
Yes.
You learn and you earn. There is a tremendous connection between learning and earning, and hence, one good news is I just came to know that people have gotten back to buying hardcover books, and the sales of the other ones have gone down, which I personally feel these books are a treasure by itself. And you got one right up here from Dr. Rakesh Chopra, and thanks a lot. Okay.
Rakesh, can I ask a question?
Yeah, of course.
Yet?
Yes, please.
I haven't read the book as yet, but looking at it, hearing you, and a little bit going through it. That's all?
Yeah.
So I want to know, for somebody who can feel so strongly about music with such depth, do you feel a little lonely at times? Is there a sadness in the soul? Or is it, I don't mean a sad life. I know you've got touch with a happy life, but is there a sadness in the soul? Is there something that makes you feel different? And is there other moments of sort of, you know what I'm trying to say?
I do.
Yeah.
Yes, there is. The answer is to that question, honestly, is there is. Of course, I'm sure that there is an element or there is a stream of sadness in everybody. I think all the various emotions and all the passions and so many flavors of our life run within all of us. How much we expose each facet to, what kind of life we've had, you know, what has come to us and what has passed through us and what we've passed through, that colors a human being. And everybody's life is not easy. Everybody's not born with a golden spoon or an easy path ahead. Some people have to carve their life out of stone. So, and there's some things, there's sometimes a pack of cards given to you which could be difficult. Like they say, you know, life is not about holding a good pack of cards, but is about playing a bad hand well. And I think when you have tough times and tough things, which everybody has, I'm sure each and every one of you, there is an element of sadness, but you can be subdued by the sadness. So I think sadness is not necessarily a bad thing. I think it's a normal thing. So I hope that answers your question.
Hi, good evening, guys. Any more questions?
With all your heavy schedule, Rakesh, Umberto Eco was interviewed, and he was also a scientist and doctor and research. And when he produced his first novel, which became a bestseller for 21 weeks, inshallah, I hope you will also get that.
Thank you, ma'am.
But he said, I'm a Sunday writer. And he said, I write in the interstices. So, mind is constantly churning?
Always, ma'am.
Always.
Well, first of all, ma'am, can I say the deepest gratitude for you being here. I mean, there is nothing like having your teachers to bless you, when you've done something which might be of some significance.
Someone is with me who started you in nursery.
Indeed, she did.
And
So,
I finished it off.
indeed. Yeah. So, as far as time is concerned, I'm sure you've heard the famous saying, and I'm sure Shivji will agree with me, that if you want to get something done, ask a person who's very busy. So, I think we all have more than enough time. Question is, how much do we while away? How much goes in trash television or rubbish, musings or whatever. So I think time is a plenty. It depends on what you want to do with it. You can just sit on the couch and munch chips and watch Bollywood, or you could do something useful with your life. So it's just one of those things. Then I think that I could have used my time even better.
And all these people are witness. I should not use my red pen anymore.
Thank you very much, ma'am. I'm glad that you used your red pen and you wrote SCSC, but I must tell you that when I finished my 12th, I did get 82% in English language. So that wasn't bad at that time. Yes, okay. So, well, thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you again.
All the best.
Thank you so much. Thank you, ma'am.
As Sir said, I hope it will reach the whole world and be great.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Your blessings are so much. Thank you.
Always with you.
Thank you, ma'am.
I want to thank Rakesh to make us so proud. That's really touching.
Saying thank you note with a book in the hand, but I was like thinking, kya ho raha hai yaar? It's too much of thoughts, too much of good thoughts, too much of positive vibes to inculcate and take at such a short notice. Somehow, while flipping through this book, I feel that all of us sitting here, some page, some paragraph, some line will definitely click with your childhood, and I'm sure Mr. Rakesh someday will tell us, about the story about Shyam, the lemonade guy, whom he is thanking.
It's dedicated to you.
I need a mic. Yes, if you see that the book is dedicated not to somebody fancy, but to Shyam, the lemonade man. This is a very interesting story, at least to me. When I was doing my house job in Willingdon Hospital, and this is 1986, and I was working in the medical ward upstairs, there was a ward boy. I mean, he was a ward boy, that was his designation, but he was about 55, 58 years old. A wonderful man, I think he'd been ex-serviceman or something. And what Shyam would do is that every day he would come, he used to live in Paharganj, and he would buy nimbu from wherever he would come from home to come to the ward, and he would make nimbu pani for me. And he would put it in one of those glucose bottles. You remember those glass glucose bottles with that aluminum foil? So he would make nimbu pani, put it in the freezer of the ward, and label it as poison, so that nobody would touch it. And he would do this specially for me, day after day and day after day. So, and when I finished my MS from PGI and I came back, I went to Willingdon Hospital, I searched him. I asked him, they said, he's left a few years ago. I couldn't trace him, and I wish that I had met, because that was, a complete selfless love from a man, from a stranger. And so I dedicate the book to him.
That's fabulous. And that's fabulous. I hope everyone present here, the eminent people in the panel, the beautiful audience, all of us get our Shyam with so much love and dedication someday. Thank you all for being today part of this event in Oxford Bookstore. On behalf of Oxford Bookstore, I, Nitin Varku, who handles business development and operations of North India, I would like to thank all of you for being here. It's been a fabulous time being with you. See you soon. See you again and again in this bookstore. Thanks again.
Thank you everybody for coming, and please join us for tea right now.
Oh, yes, one more thing. The last ritual. I'm a Kashmiri by birth. So, this Shivratri thing happens. So on the last day, we have this distribution of the prasad. So the distribution of the prasad of this fabulous book is pending. Mr. Chopra will be here. You can get your book signed here. You can interact with him one-on-one. The books are there in the cart. Kindly buy the books at the counter and you can get them signed here. And interact, get the fabulous moment of interacting one-on-one. Thanks a lot. And we have some fabulous tea from Chopra and beautiful sandwiches waiting for you. Thank you.
If you put a tie on, anyone don't.
good and proper.
Sit down and sign.
Did you meet Rakesh?
The chair also you can find everybody.
And Dolly wants to meet you.
Don't get my Good to see you. Good to see
How is she?
All of you could be described.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. I'm honored, sir. Can we have figures? I'm honored.
मैं पानी की बोतल रखी हुई है ये सर